Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw Freo go on the road and dominate against the Western Bulldogs, get the win outright. We called it here at Half a Point, capped off a crazy finish to the regular season for season 2025. This week is our season recap episode where we'll go through our preseason picks, what we got right and what we got wrong. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton Superfan. Cuss, how are we feeling, mate?
Yeah, feeling good. Final week of footy done of the normal season. So yeah, excited for finals, mate.
That's right. As a reminder, if you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. We're also active on TikTok, on X, and on Instagram. So give us a follow on those, and also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cuss. So this week, yeah, it'll be a bit of fun today. We'll just break down, what we got right, what we got wrong in the from the preseason picks. There was no picks today for the finals week one. We have an episode coming out next week previewing finals week one. So if you're here for that, then leave a like and you can exit the video. That's all good. But yeah, stick around though. I recommend sticking around because it's going to be a little bit of fun. We made some pretty bold calls at the start of the season. So yeah, we'll jump to that. But before we get into that, we'll recap round 24. Starting off with Essendon Carlton, you guys cover as favourites for in 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, so finishing off the season well, I guess. It was minus 25.5 as a line, ended up winning by 34. Couldn't really read this game. Like there was never a point in the game where you're like, yeah, nah, these guys are definitely covering or not covering. But yeah, I guess it was good to finish the season as a Carlton supporter with another cover. But yeah.
Yeah, you guys are definitely the right side, except you were on a 5 day break, but it was a really open game. So you get the cover in the end. Collingwood Melbourne, we end up winning by 6. I was on Collingwood minus the points. Not a great pick at all. Melbourne was definitely the side. I think I said last week I was jumping into a trap and I fell right into it. I just saw it coming, but I couldn't resist. Yeah, terrible pick. But yeah, we get an important win, I guess. Port Adelaide, Gold Coast. I was on Port Adelaide. This was a great pick here. They get the win outright, so the money line hits as well. It's just Gold Coast on the road laying points with like an emotional Port Adelaide side playing for their ex-captain and ex-coach now. So yeah, it was sort of written in the stars there. The cover was never really in doubt there. A couple dubious free kicks to Port Adelaide, but they get the win outright, so that's huge. North Melbourne, Adelaide, this is a really big one again. North Melbourne end up covering as big dogs at home. We saw at the start of the season they haven't been really great as dogs at Marvel, but towards the end of the season they covered against St Kilda and now Adelaide. Classic letdown spot for the Crows after their big emotional win versus Collingwood. So another big win there. Isaac Rankin, mate, he gets the 4 weeks. I said it last week. The AFL is going to do something dodgy here. We saw it coming last week, and lo and behold, they go against their word and give him the 4 weeks, give him a 1 week reprieve, covering it all under this mental health sort of excuse, I'd say. I think it's really convenient that they can't talk about it. I think Jared, if you hear what Jared Waitley said about it, I think he summed it up real perfectly. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just not a good look. It's we the precedent now is just 5 weeks minimum. Lowering it just for Isaac Rankin. And not even giving us a reason, really. Yeah. A bit dodgy, don't like it. Not a good look.
Yeah, if I just can't resist. Anyway, we'll move on. Richmond Geelong, mate, you look dead at halftime, but you get the back door.
Yeah, yeah. It was looking really bad at halftime. I think we were down by like 60 odd points. And then a pretty dead third quarter. And then somehow in the fourth quarter, Richmond just found a few goals. Whereas I think Geelong only kicked like one in that last quarter. I ended up covering. So bit lucky if you were on Richmond. Pretty unlucky if you were on Geelong there. But yeah, next up we had West Coast and Sydney. I stayed away from this one, but yeah, it was like I said, West Coast don't really cover at home as an underdog. We saw it again. They didn't cover here, so good game to stay away from. And then moving on to GWS and St Kilda. Was on St Kilda here at plus 31.5. Good decision. They get the job done as the underdog again. Kept it pretty close. Few glimmers of maybe winning the game towards that fourth quarter, but GWS did pretty well to hold on there. So yeah, good on them. And then we had Western Bulldogs and Fremantle. What a game this was.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, we were both on Fremantle here.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like looking like an okay game, but then Fremantle in that second quarter just came away with 7 goals. Pretty hard to stop them when you're on a momentum run like that, and then just sort of maintained that lead from then on. Um, Bulldogs sort of clawed their way back. I was maybe hoping for a miracle win by the doggies there, but nah, you sort of like to see these sorts of games.
Yeah, mate. Like we said so many times, this Bulldogs team, they beat up on these bad teams, but when they're laying this mid-tier number versus a good team, they do not cover. And it
Yeah,
happened again. Again, the cover 20 points we were getting, that was never really in doubt. Like you saw it was going to be within that, and then Fremantle get the win outright. Like we'd won by halftime, really. So great pick there. Brisbane, Hawthorn, we're both on Hawthorn. They don't end up covering. I don't know. A couple ways of looking at this game. You could say Brisbane were inaccurate, so we should have lost by more. But I don't know. That's what Brisbane have been like at the Gabba all year long. So yeah, we've rode the train where we faded Brisbane as favourites at the Gabba, and it served us really well all year long. So I don't think. I think you said it last week. Yeah, we might not win, but it's a long term winner. So yep, didn't work out this time around. But I don't know. It's about as close as you can get without winning.
yeah,
So we both finish the regular season. Gone 3-2. We preach every week. We just want to go 3-2 every week. So I went 3-2, going up to 71 and 49. So 59% ATS. I'm maintaining that great pace there. As you say, pros go 56% against the spread. So beating the pros there. You went 3-2, so you're 60 and 60, exactly 50% against the spread. So finished the regular season. You're exactly 500. How would you
yeah.
summarize your regular season?
Yeah, look, I think the first half of the season maybe just didn't exactly go to plan. There was a lot of underdogs that like just didn't cover. We saw a lot of that in the first half, and then had a good period in the middle there where went 4-1 a couple times, so that sort of got me back in the game. And then mate, that streak of 2-3 was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough, but did well not to go like 1-4 or 0-5.
Yeah.
So yeah, held on.
Yeah, that's right. So this week, Dogs went 6-3 against the spread, but again, 2-7 straight up. So Dogs did cover this week, but not win outright. Yeah, this year it's a bit weird. I've been sort of alluding to a year where there's such a big gap between the bottom nine and the top nine, where if we're jumping on all these dogs, we like expecting the gap to be a lot closer. But as you saw towards the end of the year, it sort of came back to a more even sort of contest between the bottom nine and the top nine, where yeah, during the middle period there, we saw like they were not even covering these massive spreads. That's where you saw all these huge spreads towards the end of the year. Like we had a 70-point spread at the end there, and a 50-point spread almost became the norm. Like the Gold Coast Essendon
Mm.
playing right now, like the Gold Coast are laying 50, whereas last year like that was an outlier spread. So hoping as we go forward. So I think to come out at least 500 is a great result. Hoping next year that um, it's a bit more even, and get more competitive from the bad sides, because we that's what we make a living. We make a living betting like North Melbourne and Richmond and West Coast, honestly,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah. All right, so that's the 2024 regular season. So we did make some predictions in preseason. So if you've been with us since preseason, I've been riding the ups and downs with us, and hopefully your futures bets have been cashing now. So we'll start off with Brisbane. The win total at the start of the year was 14 and a half. They ended up on 16, 6 and 1. So they hit the over. You were on the under. I was on the over. How would you see Brisbane's year?
Yeah, look, it was a good year. I think I don't know, personally, I feel like they went under the radar a lot in terms of their win total. Like they were just, slowly racking them up, but in terms of like ATS, they weren't doing too well at home. So,
But they
I
won.
think that's
Yeah.
yeah, but they would win games. So
Mm.
that's sort of why like you sort of didn't notice them being so high up on the ladder. But yeah, I think yeah, it was what, two wins off. So
Yeah,
yeah,
one and a
not
half wins off. Yeah, and the draw
yeah,
as well, I guess. Yeah, I was on the over here. So as I said, I think last year they had a season from home. That yep, they won the premiership, but their regular season was really bad. So I think that's what I said. So that's why I went with the over. And yeah, ended up cashing. Yeah, not really a sweat there. So Gold Coast. 11 and a half was a win total. We are both on the under, and assuming that they beat Essendon today, um, they'll be 15 and 8. So we both got it wrong. With this one, I'm not too mad about it. Like for us, Essendon, like Gold Coast, they just needed to prove it to us, and they did do that. On came to the last game in the end, but yeah, they hit their win total pretty comfortably. I'm not mad that I went on the under though, just because we've been seeing this for years. We've been cashing the under tickets for years and years, so not mad at
yeah.
it. Yep, they got us this time. What do you think about Gold Coast?
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. It was just one of those things that you sort of, see over and over again. It's sort of hard to doubt. But I think like from a sort of neutral point of view, it's sort of good to see them rack up a few more wins. And yeah, it looks like they'll be playing finals. So
That's right. Fremantle, their win total was 13 and a half. And we're both on the under again. So we both got this one wrong as well. They finished 16
yeah.
and 7. Not mad at this pick either. Like, man, I was doing victory laps low key in the middle of the year when they, especially after they lost to St Kilda and they lost to Sydney. I was calling the fraud mantle when they lost to Melbourne. It was funny in the middle of the season, but then. Man, they beat all these top eight sides at home. So the Western Bulldogs, the Hawthorn, they're ones I sort of projected as losses at the start of the season. And then they beat Collingwood on the road and the Suns on the road and the
Mm,
Giants on the road, which all I projected as loss. They were the hype team coming into the season. And it at the start of the season, yep, it looked really good for me. But then, yeah, they credit to them, like they came out and obviously ended up winning on the road against the Bulldogs as well. So these are wins that we don't really anticipate coming. Yep, we got on them in all those games I just mentioned. I was on Fremantle, so I guess I won the money back
yeah.
in all those games. But yeah, I guess we're both wrong. What do you see with Freo?
Yeah, I think same thing. Like they sort of peaked at the right time. You sort of talk about like when you want to peak, but preferably towards the second half of the season, and that's exactly what they did. And I reckon going into finals, they're going to be one of the more dangerous teams to face. I wouldn't want to verse Freo. The current form, they just got good dynamic up forward.
Mm.
The midfield looks good as well. The defense is strong. So yeah, I think they did really well to pick up 16 wins here and. Yeah, secure a spot in the top eight.
Yep. Moving on to their crosstown rivals, West Coast, who win total was 5.5. They went 1 and 22. You're on the under. You've called it perfectly.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this season?
Yeah, I think I didn't expect it to be this bad. They got
Mm.
one win. Yeah, it was just terrible all around. They couldn't even cover at home as the dog. It was just a really hard team to watch. Not sure what it could possibly be, but yeah, I think yeah, I probably expected around the 3 wins, 4 wins, but
Mm.
yeah, one is tough.
Yes, I was on the over here, so this is probably the worst like futures one I gave out in preseason. Like Fremantle Gold Coast, I'm not mad at those ones. This one was a bad one. Like I should have seen this one coming. Yeah, under was definitely the play. I'm not sure what I was thinking really. I felt like I thought they'd be the same at home as dogs, where they won all those games as home dogs in 2024,
Mm,
and they'd be better as favourites, but that just wasn't the case. They were just awful as dogs. So, yeah, pretty bad pick there. Moving on now to Adelaide. Their win total was 12 and a half. They obviously, minor premium is 18 and 5. We're both on the over. I had them top four. So that cashed. I said in that podcast, um, you know, put some down for their minor premiership, and lo and behold, they jumped from
yeah.
15 to first. I said, how crazy would it be if they jumped from 15 to first? What a story that would be. So it was insane. Great. I think obviously this is the best call of the year. I think if you've been a day one and listened to our podcast from day one, we've been at Adelaide Crows podcast. So lo and behold, their minor premiers now. So couldn't have gone much better for us there. You were high on them as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen it's one of the biggest climbs in on the ladder between seasons. So
It
really
is
impressive
the biggest.
season.
It's the
Yeah,
single biggest.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
So what an insane season from them. They've just put it all together, really, like exactly how we said. All the puzzles sort of just fell into place. So yeah, love to see it. Love to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. That's why you should listen. Port Adelaide, 13.5 was their win total. They ended up 9 and 14. We were both on the under. What did you see with Port season?
Yeah, it was I think coming into it, it was just a very like let's sort of just get through the season and see how we go. In 2026. Like, Ken Hinkley's already announced that he's gonna be departing like the club at the season's end. Like, I feel like that's just never a right approach. But yeah, I think the season was written off before it even started. So yeah.
Yeah, mate. Again, if you listened to us last year, I was fading this Port Adelaide side like crazy. Like I called them Port Adelaide so many times. And again, same at the start of this year as well. So yeah, they were lucky to finish second last year. I thought 13.5 was a crazy inflated number, and it turned out that was the case. So we're both right on that. Sydney, 14.5 was their win total. Finished 12 and 11. So got close, I guess, towards the end there. But I was on the under for this one. I said they wouldn't make the eight, which I guess at the time was a bit of a hot take. But yeah, halfway through the year, that was a no-brainer, I guess. But yeah, it was a classic regression for this Sydney side, fading a side that went to the grand final. Everything lined up for them in 2024, and then this year, a couple of injuries, and then a couple of key losses at home, especially losing to Hawthorn and Brisbane in the first couple of games were pretty bad, and then they lost to Essendon on the road as well. So yeah, the Sydney side was underwhelming. Good second half of the season, so that could it will be interesting to see what their win total will be next season. Projecting maybe like I don't know 12 and a half ish probably. But yeah, how'd you see their season? You were on the over, so you were high on this team.
Yeah, I was on the over. I had a bit higher hopes, but then you saw just from like the first few weeks of this season, it didn't look very great. They didn't have much structure or like a game plan sort of. So yeah, I think towards the end of the season they sort of put it together a little bit more and racked up a few wins, but yeah, it wasn't enough to, hit that line or break into the eight. So
Yeah, that's right. New coach as well, so that was a big deal.
mm,
Moving on to the Giants, um, their win total was 14.5 as well. They end up going 16 and 7. So they hit the over and we were both on the over. So we called that
yeah.
one nicely as well. I think we were really high on the Giants. I think, ladders, we had them both in the top four. They finished fifth now. So not too bad. What did you see with the Giants season?
Yeah, same thing. I thought like very bullish on them. I thought, maybe a top two, three team. Didn't really pan out that way. They sort of lost a few games that they probably shouldn't have, and yeah, I think we did well to get the line correct. Jump on the over,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it was Giants were a lot of people's team at the start of the year to win the premierships, and then
mm,
after they lost a few games in the middle there, everyone sort of was off them. But
yeah,
then that's when I sort of said, okay, I'm going to jump on this Giants side. And now they're fifth now, so I don't know. We'll see next week with our picks. But I don't know. I feel like this Giants team could be dangerous, depending on who they
mm,
get on week one. Moving on to Carlton, 14.5 was their win total. Obviously, end up going 9 and 14. I'll let you go first. This is your team. You were on the under, so you were right. But go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I did say under. I don't remember why I was on the unders. I probably should have been a bit more confident in my team. Maybe I cursed us a little bit, but
Mm.
yeah, I think the Richmond round one sort of set the scene for the season. It was just disappointing outing. Massive comeback by Richmond. Yeah, it was shambles after that, and now our list is falling apart. So, bit going on here as a Carlton supporter.
Yeah, that's right, mate. So I was on the over here. Carlton was the team I invested in at the start of the year. I said they'd finish first. I said they win the premiership. So worst pick of the year. Couldn't be more wrong. I'll put my hand up there. That was an awful pick. I'm not again like I'm not mad at that I made that pick. Like all the some of the trends sort of suggested that this Carlton side would peak. So yeah, I was dead wrong though. So yeah, can't really say anything. And they also didn't cover in the start of the year as well. So again, one of those teams who I feel like I backed them at the start of the year against the spread, but then week to week they weren't even covering. So yeah, you had that crazy non-covering spree. Came back to earth a bit. It came in the second half of the season where you guys, last few weeks ended up covering a bit, but yeah, just such a disappointing season for this Carlton side. Then we move on to my team, Collingwood, who win total was 13 and a half. We're both on the over, finished 16 and 7. They were the team to beat at the start of the season, then came back down to earth a little bit there. But I think I think after we beat Carlton in like round, I don't know what it was, 15 or 16 or something, we already got hit the over there. So not a sweat at all. Um, yeah, I I didn't think that this Collingwood side would be that good. I feel like yeah, feel like I had them finishing in the top 8 but outside the top 4. End up finishing fourth, so not too far off, but yeah, good season overall. Sort of we hit that wall the second half of the season. But now into finals, you never know with these sort of smart veteran teams with the bye week now. So yeah, good regular season. Hit the over. How'd you see Collingwood season?
Yeah, I think they just had an insane run of in the first what maybe 3 quarters of the season. They just looked like the team to beat. They were, on the top of the ladder, a few games clear as well, and then sort of got humbled a little bit by four. I think was it 4 losses out of 5 weeks?
I think 5 out of 6.
Um, 5 out of 6. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. So yeah, I think I mentioned before peaking at the right time. They sort of dipped at the wrong time.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can just hope that they sort of pick up their game a bit for the final series.
Yeah, that's right. Moving on to Essendon, the win total was 9.5, just to the over actually. But then end up finishing 6 and 17, assuming that they lose to the Gold Coast Suns tonight. We're both on the under, so again, another one we both got right. What do you see with the Bombers season?
Yeah, look, I think for the injuries that they've had, they actually did pretty well to even get 6 wins there. So, pretty early in the season, we saw quite a few injuries to key players. So for them to even rack up like 6 wins, you sort of
Well,
think
all their
about
wins
maybe.
were at like the start of the season.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
then, if they had a healthy list, who knows? Like,
Yeah.
maybe they could have gotten to the overs. So, but yeah, I guess that's just how footy works, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Can't have
right.
a
Like
healthy
they
list.
got to 6 wins pretty quickly, and then I think they lost like 12 in a row or something. So
Hmm.
since the injury carnage, yeah, they've just been decimated by injuries. So yeah, I mean we win by 3.5 games in the end, but yeah, of course, if the injuries didn't go our way, could have been more of a sweat. But yeah, both hit the under there. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's another reason why you go on a lot of these unders as well, because there's so many things that could go wrong for a team. Like to hit an over, a lot sort of has to go right. I know this year's a bit of an anomaly, but I believe this is the case. I think mathematically speaking, if you just hit everyone's under, I think you just win overall, right? So obviously you
Yeah.
don't do that, but I think just mathematically speaking, that's where the edge is, because a lot of people like hitting overs. The general public likes hitting overs. Anyway, um, Geelong end up there. So the win total was 13 and 13.5, and they end up going 17 and 6. So another year. I think when I was talking about this, I just said, "Yep, it's Geelong, it's Chris Scott. They just win all the time." So I think that was a attitude we were both taking. But yeah, they hit the over again. Not really sweat. None of these have been really close so far. It's either a big really no sweat over or a really no sweat under. Again, as we say, just shows the gap between the top and the bottom. What do you see with Geelong season?
Yeah, it's just one of those Geelong's just one of those teams that you just back pretty much every year. They're one of the most successful clubs in the past couple of decades. So, you see a line like 13.5, and I think just the smart thing to do is jump on the overs. Had a bit of juice on the over as well, so that's pretty good. Cashing a little bit of extra money there.
Yeah. Hawthorn 14 and a half. End up 15 and 8. So you were on the over, I was on the under. So you were right technically there. I don't know. That's a coin flip one. Not mad at that one. I felt like on the under was the right player, probably long term winner. What'd you see with Hawthorn?
Yeah, I think looking at their season, probably under was probably the right, well, not the right pick, but like, the smarter pick at the start of the season. But yeah, I think just by point 0.5 of a win. So yeah, good job for them to getting over the line there.
Yeah, Melbourne 11 and a half. Well, both on the over here, and they ended up 7 and 16. Yeah, they started 0 and 5. What do you see with Melbourne?
Yeah, pretty disappointing season. Just sort of saw a glimpse of what they could do maybe midway end of the season. But it's just too late by then. Weren't really that damaging a team. On all fronts, really. I feel like every position on the field it was just a bit underperforming and not any real connection between the players. So yeah, disappointing.
Yeah, that's right. I think I had them in my eight, so I was wrong on that. North Melbourne, this is a team we're both right on. Their win total was 6.5, end up 5-17-1. So we say every year North Melbourne is the year for them to spike, and then they always disappoint, right? So, yeah, again, pretty simple for us there. Like, yep, they had a couple of wins against. I mean, they beat you guys. They beat Melbourne in round like one or two. So like that was a good start, but then they were just North Melbourne for the rest of it. What do you see with their season?
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, a disappointing season. I definitely I had no doubt that under would be the right here. I just felt like you look at their playing list and it's not really gelled together that well. They brought in a bit of experience and whatnot, from other teams, but it's sort of just not enough. You can't just rely on experience to get the job done. So yeah, I think it's an average season for them, really.
Yeah, Richmond. So the win total was 2.5. We're both on the under. We're dead wrong on this, and this was a one again. So this one and probably worst case of the real bad picks from me at least. Like I felt like everyone was on the under here. No one could fathom them winning. These are pro athletes. So I should have seen that they would have hit the over. They ended up winning 5 games. So really smashing that over quite easily. Yeah, overachieved obviously. After I mean they'd won it honestly after round one when they beat you guys. So
Yeah.
what'd you feel with Richmond season?
Yeah, first but round one that sort of told the tale, but yeah, I think they just did well to sort of stay in the game and really like put up a contest. Like the amount of times we backed Richmond, playing at the G,
Yeah, they
or
covered heaps
even
for us as well.
yeah, exactly. So gave us a lot of points, made us a lot of money. So yeah, I think they just did really well here. We completely misread their season.
Yeah, at the start we did, but then we were pretty quick to jump on them as well. Like we
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
them, yeah, we were pretty feisty. And yeah, as we say, we make a living betting these bad teams, and Richmond was one we could back this year. So that was
yeah.
good for us. St Kilda, their win total was 9.5. They finished 9 and 14. So you were on the under, so you got it right again by half a game, and I was in the over here. Again, it was like Chris Scott, good coach, going to go in the over. Ross Lyon, good coach, going to go in the over. When they beat Geelong, I thought it was a real chance, but then, yeah, they lost a lot of games in the middle there. They end up being pretty competitive and winning against all those bad teams, but yeah, the under, I feel like was probably the right side there. What do you see with the Saints?
Yeah, it's a coin flip here, but I feel like we see it so many seasons now that where they're sort of competitive, but they're not really got all the cards to sort of, get those wins. Maybe the signing of Tom DeConning and Nazaya Wanganamila is what they need. So we'll see. We'll see next season. It'll be interesting when you put 20% of your salary cap into two players.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know what the winter, I feel like it will be inflated. Maybe like 11 and a half, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs, 12.5 was a win total. They finished 14 and 9, but missed out on finals. So we bet them out of the eight, which is correct now. But yeah, they still overachieved, which is again weird season. We're both on the under here. So what do you see with their season?
Yeah, very weird season. I like how you have a percentage that high and finish ninth on the ladder is insane. I think they're the only team to get 14 wins and finish out the eight as well. So definitely a weird season for them. But yeah, I guess what they did well was just bash up on the bad teams. And that's why their stats look so good.
Yeah, that's right, man. Like, and then they couldn't beat a single top eight side. So, I think the previous year, like they had lost to a couple of bad teams. Like, I think they lost to Essendon, in 2024 as well. So, like, yeah, I think we were sort of projecting for them to sort of slide down a little bit, but no, they did actually end up playing well, but they didn't beat any good sides. So, Again, very weird season. But yeah, that wraps up our recap there. So you actually went 11 and 7 on those win totals, 61% against the spread. So great picks from you. I went 9 and 9, so exactly 50% against the spread. So um overall, I think in your 8, you had 5 out of 8 correct. So you had Sydney, that was wrong. I don't know, probably I think you had Carlton in,
Carlton, yeah.
and was it Melbourne? No, not sure. But you didn't
Not
have
sure, yeah.
Freo or Gold. Oh no, maybe you got 6 out of 8, and you didn't get because you didn't get Freo or Gold Coast. But I
Yeah,
think the
I'll have
rest
to
you got
look
right.
back.
Yeah, I also got Freo and Gold Coast wrong. I had Melbourne and Carlton in, but the rest we got right. So 6 out of 8's not bad. We'll take that any day. Obviously that was just a bit of fun at the start of the season. Um, but yeah, what do you think about the regular season and these win totals all in as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, very odd season. But I think a lot to enjoy from this year. Some teams that just sort of didn't expect to, rack up a few wins. Some teams you sort of expect to do a bit better.
Yeah.
Won't name any teams. Oh God.
I think we all know who you're talking about, mate. Yeah, that's right, mate. And like, yeah, obviously we're gonna and you're gonna see at the start of next preseason, we're gonna come out swinging with some big calls. I already have a few loading up,
Yeah,
that
same,
I'm
mate.
looking for next year on some of these teams. Obviously we'll see how the finals play out, but yeah, there are some big things coming in preseason next season, so stick around for that. But until then. We have obviously the finals coming up here. So next week we'll drop our finals week one episode. Little bit of a special surprise in store for you guys as well for that episode. So be sure to join us for that. But yeah, until next week, any closing thoughts, Cuss?
Well, it's nice to have a week off. Watch some footy awards, enjoy the game tonight. But nah, yeah, pumped for finals, mate. It's what you wait for the whole season. So
Mate, I don't know. I don't know. Cass really likes this week off. I'm hating it, mate. I really want to jump into these games. I'm really itching to get stuck into it. But no, I guess the NFL season's starting soon as well. So I guess I can focus on that for this week. But yeah, let's jump into finals. Only a week to go, guys, and then we'll be rolling. So join us next week for our finals week one episode. As a reminder, leave a like on this video and subscribe. And until next time, see you later.